Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. And Monday Night Raw tonight, as always, show was awful. Show was absolutely terrible. The first hour, in my opinion, we had Cody Rhodes and The Miz segment to open up the show, which I thought was decent. And then we had Veer Mahan versus Dominik Mysterio, which originally it was supposed to be Veer versus Rey Mysterio, but that didn't take place. So Rey was replaced by his son, Dominic. And you could tell tonight that the show was being rewritten, in my opinion, because we were supposed to get the women's tag team titles on the line. Were supposed to be Sasha and Naomi versus Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. But unfortunately, that didn't take place, so we had Naomi versus Liv Morgan. And then we had RKBro versus the Alpha Academy for, the 1,000th time already. We had Cody Rhodes versus The Miz. And we had the Street Profits versus the Usos, which the Usos came to Monday Night Raw because Roman Reigns wanted the Usos to get the Raw Tag Team titles so that they could unify the Tag Team titles, but that didn't happen. So WWE clickbaited the fans, thinking that the Usos were going to take the Raw Tag Team titles and unify them. We did not get that tonight. Monday Night Raw, terrible show, as always. Just absolutely awful. But before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, did another movie hunting video where I went to Salvation Army, check out if they had anything new for DVDs, Blu-ray, VHS-wise. So if you haven't checked out the video, definitely give it a watch. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight. We saw Byron Saxton and Jimmy Smith, and Jerry the King Lawler was on commentary. He was only on commentary for tonight, for this week, for Monday Night Raw, because Corey Graves and Carmella got married last week. So congrats to Carmella and Corey Graves on their marriage. So Jerry the King Lawler ended up taking over for just this week. And it was cool to hear the King on commentary again. You know, him and Jim Ross were my childhood. I always loved listening to Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross on commentary back in the day for Monday Night Raw. They were the best. They were the best two to ever do commentary. And just hearing Jerry the King Lawler, with his screams and him going puppies. It was just great. Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross, one of the best commentators. Just listening to them when I was a kid. So it was fun to hear Jerry Lawler tonight. But The Miz ended up coming out for Miz TV. So Miz made his way out as the fans ended up booing him. Miz got on the mic and he ended up saying his guest tonight on Miz TV is an extraordinary superstar who has been the talk of the whole world since he made his return. Miz ended up saying that this person beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So Miz ended up knocking the Detroit crowd, and he was saying their opinions don't count, because the Miz was like, oh, can this guy beat me tonight? So Miz ended up introducing his guest for Miz TV. And his guest was none other than Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes ended up making his way out. Of course, have the awesome entrance from him. He didn't rise from the stage. He was just standing on the stage as the smoke cleared a little bit. He got a whole lot of pyro. So Cody Rhodes ended up coming into the ring. Miz was looking at his watch. He was wondering how long Cody's entrance was going to go on for. So Miz ended up joking to Cody Rhodes that he broke the pyro budget because he had all that pyro going off. So the Miz ended up asking if Cody is trying to show him up on his own show. He ended up asking if Rhodes is just an egomaniac now. So Cody ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying to the Miz, don't begrudge him. Don't get hot. Because it's been a while since he faced a crowd this hot. So Rhodes ended up standing back up. He ended up playing to the crowd to get more cheers. Miz ended up bringing up Cody's emotional explanation in his promo last week on Monday Night Raw about why he came back to the company. So the Miz ended up telling Cody that was admirable. So the Miz ended up saying that the reality is, if it weren't for Cody's family name, he wouldn't just be the grandson of a plumber. He'd be just a plumber. So Cody ended up saying that being a plumber would be a good thing right now. Because Miz is full of, and he censored himself there because Cody ended up stopping himself. But I'm saying everyone knows what he meant. So Cody ended up saying that Miz hasn't changed, and that he's still arrogant, he's still obnoxious, a full-blown carny, and the fact that Miz embraces it so greatly, that makes him reliable. So Cody was like, good old reliable Mike. Cody then ended up asking Miz if he looks the same. And he kept asking what's he been doing for the past 6 years. So Cody ended up going on about wanting to win the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Because Cody was like, oh, I want to win that belt. And so The Miz was correcting Cody because, of course, saying belt is one of the non-WWE terms. Because Cody was dropping a few of them, so The Miz had to correct Cody every single time. It's not a belt, it's a title. As to what The Miz said to Cody. Because Miz was like, oh, it's a title. A belt holds up your pants. But Miz ended up saying that anyone who can beat Rollins at WrestleMania definitely deserves to be in title contention. So The Miz ended up saying that might take a while because a little bird told him Seth Rollins wants a rematch. And this time, he will have time to plan. Miz wants to say that he doesn't like Cody's chances in the rematch. And he doesn't like chances in his match tonight. So Miz ended up going on, and fans ended up interrupting him because they were chanting for Cody. So The Miz then bragged about destroying both Rey and Dominic Mysterio and Logan Paul at WrestleMania. And then everyone still wanted to talk about Cody after WrestleMania. So Miz ended up saying that we all know where Cody has been. And he ended up saying, but this is his show. And that he won't be disrespected on his show. So both Miz and Cody end up standing up. They end up facing off. Cody ended up telling Miz to simmer down. Cody ended up saying that he respects Miz and all of his accomplishments. Cody then went on to say that he senses this hostility is because Miz feels threatened by him. Cody ended up saying that he has no issue with Rollins. He ended up saying that Rollins gave him a great match, and he's got the rematch if he wants it. So Cody ended up going on about knowing there would be doubt and resentment when he returned to the company, but he's ready to face the best wrestlers. So Miz then ended up correcting Cody again, and Miz ended up saying to Cody, it's superstars. So Cody ended up going on. He ended up saying that he looks forward to his first match on Raw tonight, which this was Cody's first match on Monday Night Raw in 6 years. So Cody ended up saying, may the best man win in their match. So Miz ended up trying to hit Cody with a sneak attack. Cody ended up countering. He ended up tossing Miz through the ropes out to the floor. So Miz and Cody ended up staring down at each other. And that was how the segment ended. But overall, this was an enjoyable segment. This was a decent segment. Because of Cody. When Cody, came into WWE, when he signed that contract, I'm like, WWE needs Cody. Cody doesn't need WWE, but WWE needs Cody. But overall, this was a decent segment. Very enjoyable. So then we went to the first match of the night. We had Dominik Mysterio versus Veer Mahaan. And originally this was going to be Rey Mysterio versus Veer Mahaan, but that got changed. So that was, like what I said earlier. This was supposed to be Rey Mysterio versus Veer Mahaan, but you could tell that the show was being rewritten throughout the night as the show progressed, because we didn't get the women's tag team titles match. And, the show was all over the place tonight because of that, because of the changes. So we had Dominic end up coming out. No Rey Mysterio. Rey wasn't there tonight. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Veer end up coming out. So Veer made his way out, and the match ended up starting. Dominic ended up charging at Veer, but Veer ended up leveling Dominic. And as Veer Mahaan was working in this match, every move that he did, he was just groaning. Like if he hit a clobbering blow to Dominic's back, it was like, "Rrr." That was what Veer was doing. "Rrr." If he hit a clothesline, "Rrr." That was all Veer was doing tonight. "Rrr. Rrr." That was him all throughout the match, just groaning as he was doing moves. Dominic ended up blocking a clothesline with a kick to Veer. He ended up sending Veer out to the floor to regroup. Dominic launched himself over the top rope. Veer ended up catching Dominic. He ended up stumbling back a few steps into the barricade. And he then ended up launching Dominic into the barricade. So Veer was waiting for Dominic to get back up. He then decked Dominic with a huge right forearm. He brought Dominic back into the ring. Decked Dominic with another big clothesline. Of course, is what he did. Veer ended up standing over Dominic, and he then applied the modified camel clutch on Dominic, and Dominic ended up tapping out. So Veer Mahaan ended up getting the win. Post-match, Veer ended up grabbing Dominic, and he applied the camel clutch again. He was ragdolling Dominic, and it took four officials to get Veer to let go of Dominic. So Veer ended up applying the camel clutch one more time. He was just punishing Dominic with it. So he let go. We had medics end up bringing a stretcher down, and they end up loading Dominic up on the stretcher. And I'm like, really? A camel clutch submission? You have to bring out a stretcher just for that? So we had the EMTs end up putting a neck brace on Dominic, and they end up stretching him away. And that was basically that. But it was a squash match. You know, like I said, Veer Mahan just growing his way through the match. That's all Veer was doing in the match, like I said. Bunch of groans. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we went backstage. Dominic was being stretched into the ambulance. Kevin Patrick was backstage with Veer Mahan. Kevin Patrick ended up asking Veer why he did what he did to Dominic after the match was over. So Veer ended up saying that he strikes fear into the heart of any man. So Veer ended up staring at the camera. It cut back to the ambulance, and the ambulance ended up driving away with Dominic, and that was that. So then we saw Sarah Schreiber. Sarah Schreiber ended up stopping AJ Styles as he came to the arena, and this was footage that was shot earlier in the day. So Sarah Schreiber ended up asking Styles about his thoughts going into his match with Damien Priest. Styles ended up saying that he admitted that he was afraid of what Edge and Damien Priest will make him do to them. Styles ended up saying that they talked about his family, and that means a fight. So Styles ended up seeing Damien Priest walking. So Styles ran over and attacked Damien Priest, and they started fighting. We had Shaky Cam there for a little bit, which, Shaky Cam was terrible. So Priest fought back, and both him and Styles started brawling. Officials tried to keep them apart, and that was basically that. And then we had the match, AJ Styles versus Damien Priest, which was a solid match. Styles ended up making his way out first, and then out came Damien Priest. Damien Priest had a pre-recorded video where he ended up saying that last week he pledged his loyalty to Edge. He ended up saying that tonight he proves his loyalty to be by Edge's side. Priest ended up saying what he does to Styles will be Exhibit A and Styles' Judgment Day. So the match started. Styles ended up ducking a shot by Damien Priest. He started working Priest over. Both Styles and Priest were trading shots into the corner. Priest laid a uppercut and some kicks to Styles. Styles kept on fighting. He ended up delivering clotheslines to Damien Priest, which he ended up sending Damien Priest over the top rope out to the floor. Styles ended up sending Priest into the ring post. He then leapt off the apron, knocked Priest over the barricade. Styles then ended up grabbing Priest, ended up bringing him out of the timekeeper's area. He ended up slamming him face first to the commentary table. Styles ended up launching himself over the top rope. He ended up decking Damien Priest with a flying right hand. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, both guys were trading shots in the ring. Priest ended up running into a back elbow from Styles. Styles ended up coming back with a moonsault into a DDT from the corner to Priest. Styles was just taking out Priest with some strikes. He delivered a clothesline to Priest and then a kick. Styles ended up leaping into the corner with a clothesline. He ended up getting Priest on his shoulders. Priest ended up fighting back. Styles ended up coming off the top, and Priest ended up moving. He ended up hitting a bell clap to Styles. So he ended up driving Styles face first to the mat. He ended up going for the cover. Styles kicked out at 2, to which Damien Priest was showing some frustration. So at the end of the match ended in a no contest because Styles was calling for the phenomenal forearm. Priest ended up kicking Styles out of the air, sending him out to the floor. Priest then went to the middle of the ring Priest dropped to one knee. The lights started going down as he raised his arms in the air. So the lights went out. Priest was under a spotlight, and the spotlight was purple. Priest ended up looking ahead under the purple spotlight. And I'm like, this is Priest Taker here? Like, what are they doing with Damien Priest here? Are they making Damien Priest a vampire? Because as soon as Priest looked ahead under the purple spotlight, it went to commercial. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you going to commercial there? Like, what the fuck did we watch? So then as Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, the lights end up going back on in the arena. Styles and Damien Priest were no longer out there. So Sarah Schreiber was backstage with AJ Styles. Styles ended up asking, what was that bullshit? He wasn't done with Priest. Styles ended up going on about Edge looking down from wherever he's at. He ended up saying that he doesn't care what Edge or anyone else thinks. It won't stop him from getting to both Damien Priest and Edge. So pretty much that was basically what Styles had to say. But what are they doing with Damien Priest? I'm like, this whole thing with Edge and Damien Priest, are they trying to do a new version of the Brood? Because I think that's what the WWE might possibly be doing with this whole faction with Edge. They're trying to get a new version of the Brood. And then we had The Miz versus Cody Rhodes. And this was a good match here. Very good match. So The Miz ended up coming out first. And then Cody Rhodes ended up coming out. The fans were popping for Cody. They were singing along to his theme music. So the bell ended up ringing. The fans were behind Cody here in the match. So before Cody and Miz end up locking up, Seth Rollins ended up coming out. Seth Rollins came out smiling, dancing around the stage. He slowly made his way down to the ringside area to watch the match. So Miz ended up grabbing Cody to start off the distraction from Seth Rollins coming out. Cody ended up fighting Miz off. Miz came back, delivered a kick to Cody. Cody ended up catching him with a power slam. Cody then delivered a springboard kick, which sent Miz out to the floor. Cody then chased Miz back into the ring. He ended up dodging an elbow drop from the Miz, and Cody ended up going for his cutter, but it got blocked by Miz. Cody then ended up blocking the skull-crushing finale, and he ended up delivering a long vertical suplex to the Miz. He ended up slamming Miz face first. So Cody went for the cover. Miz ended up kicking out at 2. Cody was shown doing some push-ups to taunt Miz. So Rollins was shown watching from the commentary table. Cody was controlling the Miz here in the match. Miz ended up countering Cody in the corner. He delivered a big kick to Cody's chest, and then he kicked Cody in the face. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Miz was in control of the match. He was beating Cody around the ring. So Cody started unloading, and Miz ended up kicking out at 2 because Cody ended up going for the cover. Cody ended up running the ring, ended up nailing a suicide dive out to the floor to the Miz. Rhodes ended up coming off the top. Miz ended up moving, and Cody ended up selling a knee injury. Miz ended up taking Cody's leg out that was injured, and he ended up applying the figure 4. Miz tightened the figure 4, and Cody wasn't giving up on that, of course. So Cody was close to getting to the rope. Miz ended up pulling him back to the middle of the ring in the figure 4. Cody finally turned the figure 4 over on to the Miz as the Miz was yelling out. So Miz ended up crawling for the bottom rope, and he touched the bottom rope, and which allowed Cody to break the hold. So it's back and forth between both Miz and Cody. Cody ended up hitting the Cody Cutter, and then he ended up dropping the Miz in the middle of the ring with the Crossroads. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Cody Rhodes ended up winning the match. Obviously, we knew Cody was going to win the match. Post-match, Cody ended up posing in the corner, and Seth Rollins was in the ring, and he was behind Cody. Cody ended up not seeing Rollins waiting behind him. So Cody ended up turning his back, and he ended up seeing Rollins over there. Rollins ended up saying that he heard all the kind things Cody had to say, even the word rematch. But he wants Cody to remember Cody was the surprise opponent at WrestleMania and had all the advantages. Seth ended up saying now that he sees what he's working with. And Seth was laughing. Seth then proposed another match for him and Cody. So he proposed him versus Cody, the second match that they're going to have. Cody ended up saying yes, absolutely. And pretty much that was basically that. Rollins started laughing some more. So we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes 2 at WrestleMania Backlash. It was confirmed. So we're going to be in that match at WrestleMania Backlash. And then we had Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick was backstage with Tommaso Ciampa, who is now part of the Raw roster. And WWE hasn't changed his name yet. But don't be too surprised if they do that. It's going to come. Watch WWE change Tommaso Ciampa's name. They'll possibly call him Tommaso, or hell, they'll probably just call him Ciampa. So as for now, Tommaso Ciampa still has his name. But don't get too excited because WWE might change his name. You know, we all know it's coming. Because typical WWE, they like to change certain superstars' names for no reason. Don't get too excited. That's going to be coming soon. Watch they change up Tommaso Ciampa's name. So before Kevin Patrick and Ciampa could speak, Ezekiel ended up walking up. And Ezekiel ended up introducing himself. He ended up welcoming Ciampa to Raw. So Ezekiel, if you remember last week on Monday Night Raw, he made his debut. It's Elias repackaged. You know, he shaved off his beard and mustache and trimmed his hair a little bit. And now he's looking like Stu Pickles from the Rugrats. We've seen that picture online, that meme of Ezekiel and Stu Pickles together. You already know the joke. Because he looks like a live-action version of Stu Pickles from the Rugrats, minus the purple hair that Stu had. So Ciampa ended up thanking Ezekiel. So Kevin Owens ended up coming up. He ended up interrupting. Kevin Owens ended up saying, "Oh, you really know that this is Elias?" And he was asking him what he's trying to pull. So Ezekiel ended up saying that Kevin Owens is mistaken. So Ezekiel ended up walking off. Tommaso Ciampa also believes that this is really Ezekiel. So Kevin Owens ended up telling Ciampa not to listen to Elias. He's known him for years. So Kevin Owens ended up asking if he's the only sane person around here. So Kevin Owens was seething as he ended up walking off, and that was that. So what is this? We're going to get Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel. Ezekiel, watch. As the next round of releases come, his name is going to be on that list. Elias repackaged as Ezekiel. This is already dead on arrival for him. Watch. His name is going to be on the next set of releases. So then we had Naomi versus Liv Morgan, which this was really supposed to be Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for the women's tag team titles. But unfortunately, Rhea Ripley wasn't on the show tonight due to protocol. It's possibly COVID-related protocol, because Rhea Ripley wasn't on SmackDown on Friday, where Liv Morgan ended up beating Sasha. And plus, like I said, Rhea wasn't on the show tonight. But this match was just very meh, in my opinion. So we had Liv Morgan end up coming out first, and then Naomi. Sasha Banks was also out there. So the match started off, both women end up locking up. Naomi ended up dropping Liv Morgan. They both were trading counters in the middle of the ring. Naomi ended up landing a kick to Liv Morgan. Naomi had some offense on Liv. Liv ended up nailing her Karana to Naomi. There was some sloppy offense from both Liv Morgan and Naomi in the match. Naomi ended up kicking Liv in the face. She ended up going for the cover. Liv ended up kicking out too. So Naomi ended up rolling Liv up. And there you go. Naomi ended up winning the match. Overall, just very meh match. Didn't care for it. And then we had the almighty Bobby Lashley end up coming out. Lashley was greeting fans, posing in the corner, got pyro. Byron Saxton on commentary ended up saying that this was supposed to be the VIP lounge, and Bobby Lashley is crashing it. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Bobby Lashley was already talking on the mic. He ended up saying that he wasn't invited to the VIP lounge over what happened last week. Remember last week, MVP ended up betraying Bobby Lashley. MVP is now with Omos. MVP is now the mouthpiece for Omos. So Lashley ended up going on about the win at WrestleMania, where he ended up beating Omos, and he ended up giving Omos some raise. He ended up saying that he was stabbed in the back by the one man he felt he could trust, and that was MVP. Lashley ended up going on, he ended up calling MVP to come to the ring and explain his actions to everyone. So MVP didn't come out. So Lashley ended up saying, maybe I should start rearranging the VIP lounge to how he likes it. So Lashley was threatening to destroy some of the stuff, the couches and whatever was in the VIP lounge. So out came MVP and Omos. MVP ended up telling Bobby Lashley to stop embarrassing himself, and if he damages anything, his lawyers will be in contact. Lashley then ended up telling MVP to shove those lawyers, up his ass. Lashley ended up saying that he wants to fight. So MVP ended up saying that he loved for Omos to teach a lesson to Bobby Lashley. But Omos is learning to be a businessman and will wait until the money and time is right. Lashley ended up going on to say that MVP and everyone should be thanking him. MVP ended up asking if Bobby Lashley and everyone wants an explanation, and that he can do that. So he went on about how Bobby Lashley was floundering when he came back to the company, until MVP took Bobby Lashley to new heights. MVP ended up declaring that he made Bobby Lashley, and that he made him into the Almighty. Lashley ended up saying that MVP came back for his farewell tour, but then he did what he does best, latch onto his next meal ticket. So MVP ended up going on about Omos being bigger and smarter than Bobby Lashley. Yeah, okay. Omos is the Great Khali 2.0. He is absolutely terrible in the ring. We all know that. We've seen Omos move in the ring, and we know how he works in there. He's flat out terrible. So MVP ended up saying that Omos will take MVP's spot at the top because Omos realizes that he needs MVP. MVP then wanted to say that Bobby Lashley barely survived his match with Omos, and he promises he won't survive the next. Lashley ended up saying that he's going to chop Omos down like he did at WrestleMania, and then he's coming to get MVP. So Bobby Lashley's music started up. He starts tossing parts of the VIP lounge out to the floor. He starts tossing the sofas out of the ring, and the table, and pretty much that was basically that. So it looks like we're going to be getting another match, Omos versus Bobby Lashley. Oh God, how great is that? Who wants to see Omos versus Bobby Lashley again? God. And MVP is not going to do anything for Omos. He's not going to make Omos good, in my opinion. That was such a terrible move to break MVP away from Bobby Lashley and side with Omos. It's terrible. But I don't care. I don't care about this Omos and Bobby Lashley shit. I really don't. And then we go to this garbage with the 24/7 title shit. So we had Tozawa, Reggie, and R-Truth. Had some other people there. They were leaving Akira Tozawa's bachelor party. They say, oh, that was the best bachelor party of all time. So R-Truth ended up asking Reggie about the 24/7 title. Reggie ended up mentioning it's with Dana Brooke at the double bachelorette party that she's having with Tamina. So Tozawa had his bachelor party, and now Tamina and Dana Brooke are having their bachelor party. So R-Truth was shocked and worried, and he was ranting about how you can't trust the title with Tamina and a bunch of conniving others. So R-Truth ended up telling the guys to follow him because they have a party to crash. Awful. Awful, awful, awful television. Why is this shit still on TV? It's awful. Stop with the 24/7 garbage. It's time to retire this title. I don't know why it is still featured on TV. Get rid of it. And then we had Bianca Belair versus Queen Zelina Vega. Awful. This match was awful. Before the match got underway, we had Austin Theory. Austin Theory was talking to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville about how Vince McMahon had promised him a United States Championship shot from Finn Balor. So Theory ended up saying that we can stop calling him Austin and that he wants to be just known as Theory because him and Vince decided that's better. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that Theory will get his shot next week for the United States Championship against Finn Balor. So we're getting that next week. Once again, typical WWE, another superstar getting his name changed. He went from Austin Theory to just being now Theory. So I have a theory as to why WWE is changing certain superstars' names. So you might get the joke from what I said about that word theory. So then Kevin Owens ended up coming in. Kevin Owens was ranted to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville about Elias and Ezekiel. He ended up asking both Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville what kind of ship they're running here. And he was pointing to how he was forced in the match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Elias is back lying about who he is. So Kevin Owens ended up saying that he wants to put Ezekiel through a lie detector test next week. So Sonya Deville ended up agreeing. Watch, this is going to give me that memory of when Vince McMahon was there. And you remember the whole Vince McMahon and Mr. America when we all knew it was Hulk Hogan disguised. If you remember that back in the day, and they did the same fucking thing where Vince McMahon gave Mr. America, Hulk Hogan, a lie detector test, and Vince McMahon was like, "Oh, are you Hulk Hogan?" This is reminding me so much of that. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be that same thing with Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan when he was disguised as Mr. America. That's what it's going to be like. So WWE rehashing a storyline that they did back in the day. So Kevin Owens ended up saying that he's going to pay for the test. Sonya Deville ended up turning and she ended up talking to Adam Pearce about how she has a contract for Bianca Belair's first title defense as the Raw Women's Champion. So then we went back to the ring and we had Zelina Vega end up coming out. And Zelina Vega had a pre-recorded video that was done earlier in the day. Zelina Vega ended up saying to forget about Carmella and Corey Graves because she feels liberated without the dead weight. So she ended up doing the whole shitty accent, which I don't know why they are still making her do an accent, where she's like, "Oh, I'm going to defeat Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship." No need. No need for Zelina Vega to be doing an accent. Terrible. Stop letting her do an accent. So the match ended up starting. Zelina Vega did a takedown from the corner to Bianca Belair. She ended up going for the cover. Bianca kicked out at 1. So Bianca ended up decking Zelina Vega. She ended up hitting a fallaway slam. Zelina Vega ended up pressing Zelina Vega high above her head. She was doing squats. She dropped Zelina Vega down to the mat. Bianca followed up, hit the KOD on Zelina Vega, and there you go. Bianca Belair won the match. So then, post-match, Sonya Deville ended up coming out. Sonya Deville had the contract in her hand. She ended up marching her way down to the ring. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Sonya Deville ended up getting on the mic. She ended up congratulating Bianca on her WrestleMania win. And Sonya Deville ended up saying that she found a new challenger for Bianca. But it was no easy task because of the stacked division. So she ended up naming several superstars, and she ended up saying that the options are endless for Bianca. Bianca ended up saying that she'd be happy to get in the ring with any of those names that Sonya said. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who her opponent is, because she will leave with the Raw Women's Championship because she is the strongest, toughest, bravest, and she ended up going on about that. So Bianca was ready to find out who her opponent will be. Sonya Deville has an open contract for the Raw Women's Championship, and she was like, "Why you are the EST?" Bianca ended up seeing what Sonya Deville was trying to do, but she ended up saying, "Let's do it." So Bianca signed the contract. Sonya Deville ended up giving the introduction for Bianca's mystery opponent. She ended up calling for a drum roll. Bianca ended up turning to face the screen for the reveal. Sonya Deville ended up taking out Bianca's knee with a chop block. Sonya Deville ended up destroying Bianca Belair. She ended up dropping her. So Sonya Deville ended up then announcing herself as Bianca's next opponent. Simon Pierce ended up rushing down to check on Bianca as Sonya Deville ended up making her way out of the ring. And that was that. And I don't care. I don't care about this whole thing with Sonya Deville and Bianca Belair. This is going to be a rehash of that whole overlong Sonya and Naomi feud. That's what I see this being with Sonya and Bianca here. A whole long, overdrawn feud between them. Watch, it's going to be a rehash of that, of Sonya and Naomi. And not looking forward to it. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And then we had the bachelor party for Tamina and Dana Brooke. More awful television here. So both Tamina and Dana Brooke were on the same page, and Tamina ended up saying that it will be open season on the 24/7 title once the honeymoon is over. Los Lotharios, Angel Garza, and Humberto Carrillo end up interrupting. They put the kiss cam on Tamina and Dana Brooke. So Nikki ASH interrupted. And she ended up saying that she bought some male entertainment. And she used Los Lotharios to distract Dana Brooke. Nikki ended up rolling Dana Brooke up for a pin to beat her for the 24/7 title. Tamina then ended up making a save, and she ended up beating up on Nikki. So Nikki chasing after the 24/7 title now. Unbelievable. If you thought giving her the stupid gimmick with the whole almost a superhero was bad, now they reduced her to chasing after the 24/7 title. So then R-Truth, Akira Tozawa, Reggie ended up showing up with their buddies. R-Truth ended up yelling at everyone, and he ended up saying that they should all be ashamed. Truth ended up saying that it's not the 24/7 title that keeps them together, it's the love. So Truth ended up saying that he has a certificate that shows he's an ordained minister. And he calls for all attempts on the 24/7 title to be paused until next week, when there will be a double wedding. So that was that. So we're getting this shit next week, a double wedding. And I highly suggest when that segment comes on, all of you to take your bathroom breaks. Who would want to sit through that? Who would want to sit through a double wedding with these guys? It's going to be awful fucking television. And as Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, we had Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce ended up stopping Sonya Deville backstage. He ended up telling her that she abused her power. He ended up asking who the hell she thinks she is. Sonya Deville ended up saying to Pearce that she thinks she is going to be the first official to answer an open challenge. And she thinks that she will shock the world when she wins the World Women's Championship. Newsflash, she's not winning. Pearce ended up saying that he can't believe that Sonya Deville is doing this. Sonya Deville ended up saying that she is an official, and Adam Pearce can't stop her from making history, as she's already made it official. So that was that. So, but Bianca Belair, she's retained the title, of course. So then we had RKBro versus the Alpha Academy, which we've seen many times before. It was like the 1,000th time already. So RKBro, they came out first before Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then we had the Alpha Academy end up coming out. Otis and Chad Gable. Chad Gable ended up getting on the mic. He did the whole stupid shush and a thank you, which sounds so fucking lame when he does that. I hate that they're doing that with Chad Gable. I fucking hate the shush and a thank you. He sounds so lame when he's doing that. How about a shush to WWE and get the mic away from Chad Gable? a thank you when he does that. Like I said, it's so fucking lame. But Chad Gable, him being paired with Otis, with them being the Alpha Academy, is the best thing that WWE has done with Chad Gable, for a while. It's better than calling him. Remember, they used to call him Shorty G, which that was fucking dumb. But Chad Gable, he's good in the ring. Some of the best work from Chad Gable, being paired with Otis here. Just take away the whole fucking shush and a thank you. I said, it's so lame when he does that. So Chad Gable ended up going on the mic. He ended up making excuses for losing at WrestleMania. He blamed Gable Steveson. He ended up ranting about how him and Otis will win the Raw Tag Team titles back. So that's what he had to say. And then the match started off with him and Riddle going at it. Riddle ended up taking control of the match, and he tagged in Orton. Orton and Riddle ended up double teaming on Gable. Riddle ended up scooping Gable up to his shoulders. Gable ended up countering him, and he tagged in Otis. Otis ended up running over Riddle as he kept control of the match. And we had Otis ended up standing tall over Riddle. Gable ended up having Riddle grounded by his arm, and Riddle ended up fighting up to his feet. He ended up fighting Chad Gable off. Chad Gable ducked a clothesline from Riddle, and he nailed a German suplex. So at the end of the match, Gable ended up blocking the RKO from Orton. He ended up backsliding Orton for a 2 count. Orton came right back and delivered the RKO out of nowhere to Gable. So there you go. RKBro ended up winning the match. Post-match, we saw a SUV end up arriving. Out came the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. So Jimmy and Jay were walking backstage looking for Orton and Riddle. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the Usos end up coming out. So Randy Orton ended up saying that he wasn't sure if the Usos were coming to Raw. But it looks like the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns let his bitches off their leashes. So the Usos ended up challenging RKBro to a title unification bout for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles. So Orton ended up responding, and the Street Profits end up interrupting. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins end up making their way out. They end up making the case for why they should be next in line for a title shot. So the Profits end up saying that they would be happy to face the Usos after they win the titles from RKBro. And they and the Usos can unify the titles because they are up and they want the smoke. So Orton ended up telling both the Usos and the Profits to shut the hell up because people want to see a fight, not hear them talk. So Orton ended up getting the crowd to agree to this. So then we had the match, which was the main event, the Usos versus the Street Profits. And we've seen this many times before. So we did not get the unification of the tag team titles, which that won't possibly come until WrestleMania Backlash. So before the match got underway, they ended up announcing Theory versus Finn Balor next week. And Sasha Banks and Naomi are defending the women's tag team titles against Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. So we're going to be seeing that next week on Monday Night Raw. So the match ended up starting. Montez Ford ended up blocking up with Jimmy Uso. And Jimmy ended up dropping Ford. Ford ended up coming back, ended up dropping Jimmy with a drop kick from behind. In came Angelo Dawkins, and Dawkins and Ford ended up double teaming on Jimmy. Jimmy turned it around, ended up taking Angelo Dawkins to the turnbuckles. Dawkins leveled Jimmy for a quick pin attempt. Jay was the legal man now as Dawkins kept control. Jimmy ended up taking himself in, and the Usos ended up taking Dawkins out. Jimmy ended up choking Dawkins with the bottom rope. Jay then took a cheap shot to Dawkins while the referee was distracted by Jimmy. So the Usos ended up doing another double team, and they were taunting RKBro. So Jimmy was taunting Dawkins, ended up rocking him with a right forearm. Dawkins was looking to mount a comeback, but Jimmy ended up dropping him with a big kick. He went for the cover, and Dawkins ended up kicking out too. So at the end of the match, Ford ended up ducking a kick by Jay and delivered a chop. Jimmy ended up tagging in. They ended up catching Montez Ford with the 1D. So there you go. The Usos ended up winning the match. Post-match, Orton and Riddle ended up coming into the ring. The Usos and RK-Bro ended up staring each other down. The Usos ended up getting out of the ring. They were looking off from the ramp. Dawkins ended up coming back in, and he ended up attacking, but him and Riddle ended up tumbling over to the top rope out to the floor. So Orton ended up dropping Montez Ford with the RKO. The Usos ended up coming in. They ended up dropping Orton with a double super kick. And that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. But looks like we're going to be getting RK-Bro versus the Usos at WrestleMania Backlash. And then we're going to get possibly the unification of the tag team titles, which is a good thing. We only need one set of tag team titles. And hopefully after this, they could finally work on the women's division, and we could have one title for the women. Get rid of the women's tag team titles because they are useless. Retire them, and just merge the tag team divisions, and just merge the women's divisions, because those two divisions really need the merge. They really need them. The tag team division is shit on both shows, and the women's division is shit on both shows. So we need to merge these divisions. If you merge the divisions, it'll be better. And if we get one set of tag team titles and one set of women's titles, it would be good. That's the right way for WWE to go. Overall, the Usos versus the Street Profits, we've seen it many times before, but it was an okay match. But Monday Night Raw, terrible show as always. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my previous video of my movie hunter video from the Salvation Army if you guys haven't seen it yet. And I'll see you all on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. So until then, see you all later.